Right. Joining me for this conversation is Center Director, Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies, Professor Anthony Kila. Good morning once again. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Thanks for having me.
Now, this meeting is coming months, I think 2 months after the Asaba Declaration, as it is called, where they held the first meeting of the Southern governors, and it's already generating divergent reactions. Already the statement made yesterday. And let me begin with your reaction to, the resolutions reached by the state governors of the South, some of which are saying that power should shift to the South, and for the PIB, they are backing 5% equity stake for host communities in the PIB, as a petroleum industry bill, and they have set September the 1st deadline for the ban on open grazing, they also rejected the removal of electronic transmission of election result from amendment bill, and insisting on true federalism, devolution of power, which is something they had spoken about the first time.
Yes.
And they also spoke about the fact that before any security agency comes into the state for any form of arrest, they should, as governors, being the chief security officers of the state, should be first informed
about it.
And so let's take a holistic look at it.
Yes.
From your point of view, what is your reaction to this stance?
Well, I think overall, the governors are asking for a true federal state. They want the mode of operation of the Nigerian state to be more federal, and they want the state to be at the center of it. In the battle between the federal government and the state government, I must confess, I have a bias to be in support of the state government. In the battle of state government against local government, I have a bias to be in support of local government.
How so? Why so?
Because the essence of modern governance is decentralization. The least power, I argue, you place at the center of any operation, the more success you have. Power, responsibilities, and policy should be nearer to the people. And the nearest form of government is the local government. Definitely the state is nearer to the people than the federal government. So the state governors are calling to say, we are nearer to our states, so we should be more involved in the management of affairs of the people. That's the crux of what they're saying. That's, sort of the holistic view.
All right, let's take it
one by one.
Yes, which is where I'm headed right now, breaking it down. And stemming from the agreement reached in Asaba, they talked about banning open grazing at the time, which the federal government reacted to, questioning the legality, especially with regards to the constitutional freedom of movement. And now they are reestablishing that, saying that they are still going ahead with the ban on open grazing, which takes off or commences across the states of the South September the 1st. And for some persons, it is why wait till then. Yes,
why wait till then? Well, yes, I mean, if we did it today, it would be better, but this thing takes some time. It takes a certain kind of process. You talk about their position after the Asaba meeting and declaration, and the position of the federal government. It must be said that the opposition laid down by the federal government came out very badly, because it was the unfortunate occasion in which Malami compared the spare parts. The spare parts moment, let's call it that way. It was a very bad moment for that thing. Then to top up and make a bad situation worse, the president himself then came out to talk about grazing routes, which we now discover don't exist. That was a bad moment for the federal government. So I think the states know that they've been sort of more logical. They get the point that their position is more popular, and they're pushing further. And I think they're going to get it, because in reality, and here comes the position of those who say they could have done it earlier, telling the federal government about it and giving it time, it's a courtesy of office.
Right.
In reality, all they need to do is to go to the assemblies and do it, but it's better the way they're doing it. It's a sort of more moderate approach.
But do you think that this could perhaps generate another reaction from government, knowing that government stance on open grazing, and now the state still insisting on going ahead with it.
Well, you see, the government stands as a irrational knee-jerk reaction because the government is just on its own on it. It is not only the southern government that are saying open grazing is gone, should be banned. Okay, let's put it this way. Professional bodies are saying history has shown us that it's old, it's archaic, and it's unproductive. So it's unpopular with them. Those are people who are looking at it rationally. Northern governors, some of them have come out against open grazing.
Some are saying, if you come to our states, we have places for you to graze.
Yes. They want to do ranches for them, you know. So there's no point in them going about. So I don't know why the federal government is taking that position. It doesn't make any sense. It's unpopular, it's irrational, and it's weak. So there's no need for them doing that. And I think they'll lose in the battle because they're not really supporting defending anybody's interest openly. Because even the people going about doing open grazing, if they had a good business sense, they will soon realize that it's not very productive. But I'll tell you what I do. I believe in competition, demand, and supply. I think what we should do is that whilst this one continue to want to do open grazing, business people out there should go and do ranches and see that it's more profitable, and then the market will deal with the open grazers because it has no sense. It's an unpopular and unproductive thing.
All right. To the other issue here, which has to do with insisting that any law enforcement agency carrying out an operation in any state in the South must take permission from the state governor, who is the chief security officer of the state. We saw what happened when Igboho's home was raided, and people are seeing that perhaps as a reaction to it, because the DSS later came out to say they were the ones who went to carry that out. I mean, and Nigerians are questioning, why go to a state to carry out such kinds of raid and a state governor is not informed? What does it say? The
Igbo and before then the end SARS operation as well, and similar operations. It's a continuum. It's not just one thing. It's a few things leading to that. I think we need to look at the symbolic and political aspect of their request. You see, in people's mind, and I think they have that sense as well, the state governor is the chief security officer.
Yes.
So when things go bad, the first point that people look at is the CSO, the Chief Security Officer of the state, which is the governor. So if the governor now says, I have the title but I don't have the power, it looks bad. So they are now saying that, allow us to be involved in what is going on. But I think above all, and this is the key thing, the informing of us what you're doing is a symbolic political thing.
Is that in itself enough?
And that's enough is big, exactly. It's big, but it's not enough. The real operational thing is point 2 of that Part B of that security request. It is where they ask for the state police thing.
Yes.
That they keep underlining that. That is really the crux of what they're asking for. And, you know, I think there's no point hiding it. I have supported publicly state police. I mean, what I'll do today is to explain why. You see, again, it makes sense that the people governing your location, locality, your region, do not come from outside. Not because you hate outsiders, but for 2 reasons. One, if they're part of that place, they tend to know it well.
Yes.
And 2, they also tend to feel part of the place. And therefore, on one side, they have more reason to want to secure it, and they have less reason to want to jeopardize it. Because I will even go for village policing. I will even go for town, hamlet policing, if possible. You see, because if you come from a village, and that is where you belong to, you're less likely to side with armed robbers in that village, because people would then see you as a family of armed robbers' friends. As a matter of fact, you're less likely to rob there. So localizing operations and solutions, it's a very good thing. Again, you see, I repeat, the way forward in 2021 actually started a while ago, but here we are now, we haven't done it, is 3 Ds we have find time to articulate to people who care to listen. We need to decentralize power. We need to devolve our operations, and we need to digitalize our process.
Right.
And all these things need to be atomized. The days of a big, giant president, father, centralized authority, they're over. I mean, these days people do things. Look at our whole computers can be on our phone. I think it's called the Palm Top now. The whole thing is there. Things are getting smaller. And if we really want to match up to the future, somebody needs to start thinking along that line. There's no point of having the whole thing in central anymore. We need to break it down. Let it be nearer to people. Let it be digitalized so that it will be quick, fast, and it will be less corrupt.
We'll come back to this issue of digitizing issues moving forward, but still talking security. The governors resolved that funds deducted from the Federation account should be distributed among the states and federal government to combat security challenges. And one wonders, where then is the security votes? Where do we place those funds? What is that meant to address if we're still asking for more funds?
Well, that one is in the pocket. Right. Now they want more.
You said that.
Of course, I take responsibility for it.
Right.
I say it to them as well, so it's okay.
Okay.
That one is there. They want more. No, look, here's what we need to say. If you accuse the state government, as many do, of having the security votes and not doing enough of it, you accuse the federal government of the same. Because they have the police vote, they have the army vote, they have the navy vote. All that is federal government, and yet children are being abducted and we're not safe. So it means that security system has failed.
That money is not a challenge.
Well, whether it's a challenge or not is the result. We don't know if it's money, we don't know if it's competence, we don't know if it's vision. Somebody needs, and again, I've said this, but let's say it again. Somebody needs to come out to say that, yes, I agree we are failing, and the reason why we're failing is we don't have enough money. Then if they want more money, we shall give them. I think the governors smell money coming, and they are saying, let's share more of this. Given that the federal government have not done well so far, I'll be willing to give more money to the governors. At least let's try that. And if they're not doing it, I don't know, we'll give it to pastors and imams later on. If that's not working.
All right, let's talk about digitizing now, which you mentioned earlier. You said we should look at one of the 3 Ds you mentioned.
Yes.
To check certain issues, especially corruption. And we are seeing that the governors are rejecting removal of electronic transmission of election results from the electoral amendment bill, which we saw recently.
Yes.
And one wonders why we should be moving forward at this point. And we saw how digitizing the process helped.
Yes.
So far. We have also seen the continuous voter registration exercise going on, and a lot of people seemingly, taking advantage, seeing that it is being digitized.
Yeah.
And this removal, I wonder what your reaction is, which they are also rejecting.
Well, they're rejecting it because so you say, everybody says this is a good thing, we're moving on, everything has to be digitalized. Then amongst us, there are some people who, in the dark, I don't know, in the day, are saying no, let's remove the digital thing and let's go analog. What can you do for such people? I think it is wrong to be angry with them.
All right.
We need to pray for them and understand them. These people who are against electronic voting and process, I think we need to list them one by one, try to study their conditions, because it is in my mind that there's something wrong somewhere with them. It's not easy to say they just want to steal elections. I think that's not this. It goes beyond that. We should have some kind of empathy, some kind of pathos for them. Understand them, pray for them, and see what can be done for their psychic.
All right. We'll have to leave the conversation here now for want of time. Center Director, Center for International Advanced and Professional Studies, Professor Anthony Killer, thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.